So what is nice guy behavior? Is it really just trying to be nice to get a woman to like you? Is there something more deep within? Is there something fundamentally broken or insecure in a guy that's making him do this? And why is it that women don't like this? Well, in this video, I'm going to lay out exactly what I think nice guy behavior is and why I think it's a little bit different than what you've been taught. So what is nice guy behavior? Typically, it's this whole game of, hey, how can I be as nice as possible to this woman so that she thinks I'm a nice dude and I'm not the same as other guys. And in this place, if I can be your friend, maybe she'll think that I'm her lover. Maybe she'll think that I'm a sexy dude and I want to hang out, and she'll want to hang out with me and stuff like this. And for a lot of guys, she does. She does want to hang out with him a lot because he's pouring into her with all these gifts of attention and time and money a lot of times. And what ends up happening ends up being in the friend zone. So if you're this guy who's being overly nice, overly trying to be whatever anybody else wants, and you're trying to get a little bit of love, and it's not working for you, then I'm going to show you exactly what's happening. So, for instance, let's say, you're this nice dude, and you consider yourself a nice dude. I'll say nice dude. There's a lot of connotation out there about being the nice guy. Like, I don't want to be considered a nice guy. I'd rather be an asshole than a nice guy, right? I'd rather be an asshole. And so what ends up happening is the guys will go out there and he'll start making comments to women, saying things and just kind of being a jerk. And what will happen is it just doesn't work very well. Now she's like, yeah, you're just an asshole. And so like, what is it that she's actually looking for? Well, the nice guy, this guy here, is actually doing something where he's trying to short circuit the mating process. He's trying to short circuit the mating process by being overly nice to differentiate himself against the other suitors, right? So if I be extra nice, then maybe she'll want to have my babies. Or not even that. He's not even looking that far down the road. He just wants to get laid. He just wants to get laid. And he does this all the time, but he won't tell people that. So there's this whole secret agenda. Of if I'm going to be nice, then she'll want to be with me. But the problem is that this is trying to short circuit the process of natural order. So for instance, if you've got like a deer, I'm going to draw a deer here with antlers. I don't know how to draw a deer. Who gives a shit? So we got this deer here. Looks like a bird. We just put a deer here. This is a deer, okay? Let me label this, deer. There's no mistake. This is a deer. And every one of these horns, these tips, is another season that he's been alive. And the more seasons he's been alive, the more it shows to the female deers that he is viable. In other words, he can survive, right? He's very survivable. Until a hunter comes along and says, holy shit, that's a 12-point deer. I'm going to shoot him right in its head. Bam. And then he takes it, right? So then this one has more options with the females. And he uses those antlers to fight them, to fight the males. And he gets to mate with the female, right? But what the nice guy behavior is doing is trying to usurp the natural order of human behavior, which is she wants a guy who's strong, courageous, has some level of mastery in his life, and usually some sort of honor. Now, these are frames that I've taken from, what's the book called? The Way of Men. So I like these frames. So I like using these frames from The Way of Men quite a bit when it comes to this. A little shout out to him. So, and what I mean by this is like, so right, he's sociable, high social, he's really good at something. He has high skill. He's courageous. In other words, he is, he's brave. He'll go into danger. And he's strong, which means he's going to win. He's going to win a lot. And so then the woman wants the guy who can demonstrate these things better than anybody else. And this is the guy she's going to take. She's going to choose him. Whoever has the most of these traits, she's going to choose him. And in so choosing him, then she'll have she'll have good offspring with this guy, and then she'll know that their children will also be highly survivable, etc. We'll put a baby down here too. So like she's going to have all these children. So that's who she wants. She wants to get the guy who has the most of these things. But what this doesn't take into effect is the last one, which is spirituality. So how does spirituality tie into this? So, okay, great. She's with the big, strong dude, and she wants to mate with him. And we have this nice guy over here trying to pretend. So the nice guy, for whatever reason, he's either trying to pretend or he doesn't actually see his own value. He doesn't believe it. Even when he can do it, he doesn't believe that he's still valuable. So he doesn't believe that he's valuable. And so what he'll end up doing is he'll still play this pretending game. And so why doesn't he believe he's valuable? Well, there's this whole spiritual connection here. So you can have, on the material realm, you can have the tough guy here, and women in their nature to go get the top dog, which they call hypergamy, is always going to go towards this guy here. But the thing is that women don't just go hypergamously in a vacuum. There's also this spiritual game going on here. And the guy is doing this well. And so we're not just animals. We're on this spiritual game. And so the game really is this. Am I doing something big with purpose and vision? And vision pointed towards God. So this guy can have these traits of strength, courage, mastery, and honor underneath this greater framework of purpose and vision towards God. Now, what this nice guy behavior is, it's like, let me just demonstrate that I'm awesome because I don't feel valuable. He says, I don't feel valuable. In other words, the nice guy says, I don't feel valuable. So let me go find a woman to give me value. What does that mean? Well, we just determined right here that the top guy here in this realm, he gets value in the animal kingdom He gets animal kingdom value by getting laid and having sex, right? How do I get laid? Well, why don't I be a nice, extra nice guy? That'll get me laid. Then I don't have to do all these other things like be strong, be courageous, have mastery over something, or have like a lot of high value in society. I don't have to do that. I'm just going to be extra nice and try to differentiate myself from the other men by being extra nice, which can be an effective mating strategy for some guys. It does work. But it usually leaves the guy in this place where he's killed his spirituality because he doesn't believe that he's valuable. Why? Because he isn't doing things in the real world that demonstrate that he's valuable, or he's got some psychological trauma that's keeping him from seeing his own value. And so what he ends up doing is he tries to pretend to be different than he actually is. He tries to pretend to be different than he actually is in order to get the woman. So we have this game of spiritual. We got a spiritual game, and then we have the earthly realm. So he's trying to trick the earthly realm to try to fill a void. If I can trick her on earth to fill the void of God. So this is why he's coming off as creepy. Because he's not really after her. He's after validation. And if he can convince her to sleep with him, then he'll feel better. Why? Because natural selection says that he's one. The sex means he's one. But it's empty and hollow because there is no spiritual. So he gets a hollow validation because there's no spiritual thing connected to the other side of it. And so even though he's doing this, even though he's trying to feel better and hollow, he has this hollow validation. And so what we have to do is we have to come back and say, okay, you don't have to pretend. Don't pretend. Here at Genuine Attraction, it means attract through honesty. I don't tell guys to try to be confident. I don't tell them to do that. No, I don't tell them. I say be secure. Be secure in who you are. If you're secure in who you are, then that means you're honest about where you're at. If you're honest about where you're at, then you can make changes. And if you can make changes, then you can grow more antlers. And if you can grow more antlers, you're going to attract more mates. And you'll do it in an honest way because this takes work. A lot of work. Work on yourself. How do you work on yourself? Well, there's 4 domains that we work with. In your body, in your being, your balance, or your business. But even at the core of all of these, you still might be looking for validation. So we have to take this outside of the game of validation and point it straight to yourself and God. You'll get validation through God. And how do you do that? By pointing this towards a soul purpose. Something that makes sense, a vision. And then from this place of the vision, you are now recreating your life with the proper context to lead your relationship and the women you're going to date. So, I don't need to get into that. That's for another video. But the whole purpose for this is to demonstrate, one, nice guys are trying to manipulate. They're trying to game the system. And in doing so, they're an asshole. They're trying to game the system. And women have spidey sense against this. Are you trying to game the system? And if you are, I'm going to see you as creepy. Or are you telling the truth? And she sees you as authentic. And this is a woman, this is a guy she can trust. And that's where you want to be. You want to be that guy. Don't be this guy that's trying to game the system. And there's a lot of other theories and little nuances around it. But overall, this is the high level. The nice guy is trying to game the system and pretending to be something he's not. That's all it is. He's trying to pretend that he's cooler, more confident, whatever, and that if he can just overly be nice, and then he can bow to the woman in front of him, putting her on a pedestal, that hopefully she'll throw him a bone and give him a little bit of validation. The problem is he needs the validation from within. So now you see it. This whole game of trying to get validation from this woman, trying to put her on a pedestal, trying to be nice, is just trying to game the system. Your job isn't to try to game the system in a system where the woman is designed to try to figure out if you're lying. In fact, that's what her intuition and everything is telling her. Is this guy a liar? And the more you come and you try to pretend to be something you're not, disengage from your emotions, disengage from who you are and not telling the truth, the more she's going to see you as creepy. She'll only see you as a strong, confident guy when you can have honest tells about how you're doing within yourself and the fruit of your life and the goals that you've set out before you. Now, what goals should you do? I don't know. Why don't you try pointing it towards God and see what comes out of that? Maybe that way you can have a life full of purpose and vision. You know where you're going to go. If you try chasing after her to find your own inner value, you're going to find that it's hollow. Why? Because you're a spiritual being trying to go towards something that's important to you, and you want to feel like it's meaningful and impactful to other people in your life. So if you like this video, consider subscribing. Definitely give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.